Don't bitch about money and your lack of money. If you think that you're so fucking smart, okay, prove it. Go out and get the money. Make the money. But don't bitch about the fact that you don't have money, and don't bitch about the fact that, assholes have money and you don't, because that's like bitching about the weather. Back in the very early 90s, there was a movie called Pretty Woman. It starred Julia Roberts. It was her breakout film. And in that movie, she played a hooker. A very attractive hooker. A very attractive and fresh-faced hooker. I mean, Hollywood hookers do not look like that. Okay, but anyway, in the movie, there was this famous scene where she went to this very expensive store on Rodeo Drive, a women's clothing store on Rodeo Drive, dressed up as a hooker. And she got basically cut out by the saleswomen there. They just looked her up and down and just bullied her out of the store just by looks alone, because the look said, you're a hooker and you don't have any money, and so get the fuck out of our shop, right? Even though she did have money. She had Richard Gere's credit card. That was the movie. It was a pretty good scene, actually. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because I had almost the exact opposite scene happen to me. And let me explain. See, like in the mid-late 90s, I was living in LA, and around like 97 or so, I was in Rodeo. I was on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. I was at the corner of Wilshire and Rodeo, and I went into a clothing store. I was there for some meeting or something, and I went to a clothing store, sort of like, I forget why. And I was just wandering around there in the clothing store, and it was a very expensive store. I do think it was an Armani store. And I was dressed like I am now, like a t-shirt and baseball cap and not even jeans, it was cut-off jeans, right? And flip-flops, not kidding. And I had like a 3-4 day growth of beard. I mean, I looked semi-homeless, not completely homeless, not under the bridge homeless, but every other night homeless kind of thing, But anyway, I looked a little bit scruffy and a little bit messy, and I walk into the store just looking at the very beautiful clothes, and this sales guy, sharply dressed in a sharp suit, he looked at me and then zoomed across the store to where I was. And he had this big, bright, toothy smile on his face, right? And he said to me, "Sir, can I help you, sir?" Well, like, sure, why not? I was pretty impressed by his solicitousness. And solicitousness? Yeah, solicitousness. Anyway, I was impressed by it, and, I allowed him to show me clothes. And the fact of the matter is, I had no intention of purchasing clothes in this store, in this very expensive store, but this man wound up talking me into buying a very expensive sports jacket that I had for a number of years, a little bit past its prime, to tell you the truth, because it was so goddamn expensive that I wanted to, amortize its expense over the years, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, the point that was interesting was that I looked really scruffy as hell, and yet this guy, from across the store, he could tell that I had money, because indeed I did have the money to buy that very expensive jacket at that store. Because I'd come into some money not that long ago. My career was, onward and upward. I was seeing great things happening to my career, and I had a lot of money, and I spent it at that store. But what's interesting to me is that the guy could tell that I had money. And I've noticed over the years, in different situations, with different people I've met, in different countries, different continents, quite frankly, and you can tell when somebody's got money. There's something that comes off of them. And the fact of the matter is that money changes everything. Money changes how people react to you. Money changes how people react to you, and if you have money, they treat you better. You have a better life. And it is grossly unfair. It is grossly unfair that by virtue of having money, and not, for instance, good morals or a decent way of acting, but it's just money that determines how people treat you. But that's a fact of life. Money changes everything, and people will react to you differently if you have money or if you don't have money. Now, you could bitch and moan and complain about this. You can curse this truth, but it's as foolish as cursing the weather. Have you ever seen anybody walking down the street on a rainy day shaking his fist up at the sky because it's raining? No, of course not. It's unfortunate that it's raining. It's unfortunate that you're getting soaked, but you know, that's life. And that's life. Tony Montana, in the movie Scarface, he said, first you get the money, then you get the power, and then you get the women. And that's true. That's true. See, when you have money, the women flock to you. I mean, it would be wonderful if just being a decent person got you the women. It would be wonderful if, you know, Brad here, he's a decent guy. He's just salt of the earth. You know, he helps the elderly in his neighborhood. He goes to church every Sunday. He works very hard for not much pay at this, you know, whatever, right? He drives a 5-year-old Subaru. You know, his clothes are, you know, not the newest and not the sharpest. You know, it's sort of like jeans and something from Dockers or something like that. You know, it would be wonderful if we all admired Brad. You know, it would be wonderful if all of the Victoria's Secrets models would go to him and want to fuck him. That just doesn't happen. See? See, because between Brad over here and Mr. Asshole over there, Mr. Asshole, who is just this is sort of stupid, you know, asshole dickhead who drives a late model Lamborghini and is wearing, you know, very expensive clothes and has a great penthouse apartment on Central Park West. Well, you know, Mr. Asshole over here, he's going to get to fuck the Victoria's Secret models. He's the one who's going to be treated nicely at the expensive restaurant. At the expensive restaurant, the maitre d' will look at Brad and you know, just tell him to wait there at the bar and have a few drinks, and his table will be ready in an hour or 2 or maybe 3. But Mr. Asshole over here, well, sir, your table is ready even though you have no reservation. You see what I mean? Money changes how people behave towards you. And simpletons, foolish people, you scream at the sky over this truth. This is just stupid. Don't be that guy. Don't be that simpleton. Don't be that moron who curses at the fact, at the reality, that those with money are treated better than those without. Because at the end of the day, you have to understand what money is. Money is a social signifier. It is a way that we as a society keep score as to whom we value more. Now, it's not a fair system. Nobody's saying that it is. It has never been fair. But life is unfair. It would be wonderful if Brad were admired, but he's not. He's sort of like laughed at, he's considered a chump. Even though he is a moral person, maybe he's extremely smart, extremely well-read, a decent man in every regard, but Mr. Asshole over here who's got the cash for whatever reason, maybe it's that Skrelly guy. You know, think of that guy Skrelly, that little pipsqueak. Well, now he's in jail, but you know what I'm talking about. Some sniveling little, you know, shit stain who somehow figured out a way to get a shit ton of money. And he gets the hot women. And he gets the respect when he goes into the restaurant, when he goes into the shop, when he goes here, there, everywhere. People respect him not because he's done anything worthy of respect. They respect him because he's got a lot of zeros in his checking account. That's a fact. And simpletons and foolish men decry this. Simple men, foolish men, decry women and call them whores because women are attracted to guys with money. But these simpletons, these fools, they're decrying this truism that women are attracted to men with money because they don't understand women. See? They don't understand women at all because women are hardwired to bear children. It's their natural proclivity. They want to have babies. It's the reason why they go goo goo gaga over, you know, kitty videos or whatever the fuck, right? They are hardwired to want children. And what does that mean? See, for a woman A woman has to find a man who will provide the resources in order to have the child. Because the woman is the baby maker, and more to the point, the woman is the primary caretaker of the infant. But she needs a man to provide the resources. This is as old as time, as old as there's been human beings around. The woman cares for the child, and the man picks up the spear and goes out there and hunts for woolly mammoths, right? Brings home the bacon, brings home the resources. And so a woman will naturally be more interested in a man who has more resources, more money. It's not that women are whores. That's, again, the simpleton's view of reality, the fool's view of reality. The fact of the matter is that women are attracted to men with money because they can provide the resources to take care of their child. A woman would probably prefer to have a child with a nice, decent guy like Brad, but Brad can't afford the kid. He's still paying off his fucking student loans. And Mr. Asshole over here in the Lamborghini, you know, in his penthouse apartment over on the Upper West Side, well, that penthouse apartment, it's got like 5 bedrooms. And he can afford to buy all kinds of baby clothes and baby carriages and diapers, and then send the kid to the expensive private school and not to the shitty public school, and send the kids 2, 3, 4, 5 kids to the Ivy League schools. Yeah, because he's an asshole and a son of a bitch, but he's bringing in the money. And so a woman will react to that. And other people will react to the fact that the man has money. They will want to help him because, again, it's an issue of social worth. That's what money is. Now, why am I saying this? Why am I giving you this speech about money and how important money is and all the rest of it and how great it is to have money? Do I want you to be a money grubber who's chasing money for the sake of chasing money? No. 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 What I want you to get from this video is that, see, money is a means to an end. It is never an end in itself. Okay? And so what you should be thinking is, how do I get enough money that I can afford to live a good life, that I have enough money that people treat me nicely and don't treat me like dirt, and yet at the same time do those things that I enjoy? Now this is a very tricky balance that you have to be walking, right? It's a high wire act. Now, in my own case, sometimes I've been successful and sometimes not. Sometimes I've spent quite a bit of time doing things that I really, really enjoy, but they didn't make much money for me. And other times, more than once, I've had to spend a year or 2 doing some work that I fucking hated, but there was going to be a big paycheck at the end of it, or along the way. And yeah, well, you know, sometimes you have to just suck it up and go for the paycheck. And sometimes you can afford the luxury of doing that which you like, but that doesn't pay very well. And sometimes you have to be a mean son of a bitch, a real prick, a real dickhead asshole, in order to secure the money that you need to get the things that you want. And I'm not talking about just like about buying certain things. Because a lot of times, like I said, there are things that you get with money, but you don't buy them. And that's a reality, and it's an ugly reality. It's an ugly reality, and like I said before, I wish it weren't the case. I wish we could all idolize Brad, you know, the school teacher Brad, who's this great guy. Wouldn't it be great if, like, the really good school teachers were paid, you know, 120, 150 grand a year, right? And everybody respected him, and he walked into, like, I don't know, Nobu somewhere, right? He walks into Nobu and he goes up to the maitre d', or the girl at the desk there, and he says, I don't have a reservation, but I'm an elementary school teacher. And the woman would shine a big smile at him and say, right this way, sir. We have a table just for you. It would be wonderful if that were the case. It would be wonderful if that were the world we are living in, but we are not. So don't bitch about money and your lack of money. If you think that you're so fucking smart, okay, prove it. Go out and get the money. Make the money, but don't bitch about the fact that you don't have money, and don't bitch about the fact that, assholes have money and you don't, because that's like bitching about the weather. Okay? You got the brains. Okay, use those brains, apply them, figure out how to get money. But don't complain about how the world works. Because no matter how hard you complain or how often you complain, it's not going to change anything. And it's only going to make you look like a fool.